They called it Mig Alley, and it was the most dangerous piece of sky in the world. I flew F-86 Sabres with the 4th Fighter Interceptor Wing out of Kimpo Air Base, Korea. This was 1952, early 1953. The war everyone's already forgotten about, sandwiched between the big one and Vietnam. The forgotten war, they call it now. But I remember. God, I remember. Growing up in Tucson, Arizona, all I ever wanted to do was fly. My old man worked at the airfield, mechanic, kept those civilian planes running. I'd spend every spare minute there, watching planes take off and land, dreaming about being up there. Enlisted in the Army Air Corps in '43, made it through flight school just as the war in Europe was ending. Never saw combat in World War II. That bothered me for years. Felt like I'd missed out, like I hadn't proven myself. Be careful what you wish for. By 1951, I was flying combat missions over Korea. Started out doing ground attack, strafing runs, close air support, that kind of thing. But I wanted fighters. Wanted to be a jet pilot. The F-86 was the hottest thing flying, and we needed pilots bad because the MiGs were eating us alive up north. Got my transfer in January of '52. 3 weeks of training, and then they threw me into the deep end. MIG Alley. That stretch of airspace along the Yalu River, the border between North Korea and China. The Chinese had bases on their side. We couldn't touch them, rules of engagement. But they'd come screaming across the river in their MiG-15s, fast as hell, looking for a fight. And we'd give them one. People think dogfighting is romantic, like something out of the movies. Aces dueling in the sky, honor and glory, all that garbage. It's not like that, not even close. It's terror at 600 miles per hour. It's trying to track a target while pulling so many Gs you can barely breathe, your vision tunneling, your flight suit crushing your body. It's knowing that one mistake, 1 second of hesitation, means you're either dead or spending the rest of your life in a Chinese prison camp. My first kill came on February 10th, 1952. I was 28 years old, and I thought I knew what I was doing. I didn't know a goddamn thing. We scrambled at 0900 hours, 4-ship formation. Me flying wing for Major Pete Hollister, experienced guy, already had 3 kills. The other element was Captain Roy Martinez and his wingman. Our job was simple. Patrol Mig Alley, engage any enemy aircraft, come home. Simple, right. The F-86 was a beautiful aircraft. Swept wings, clean lines, powerful. But it was also temperamental as hell. You had to nurse the engine on startup, watch your fuel like a hawk, because those early jets were thirsty. And at high altitude in the cold, things could go wrong fast. Systems would freeze. Hydraulics would act up. You learned to trust the plane, but never completely. We crossed into Mig Alley around 0930. Altitude, 35,000 feet. Cold up there. So cold your breath would fog your oxygen mask. Ice would form on the canopy edges. You could see for miles. The Yalu River snaking below, Manchuria to the north, North Korea to the south. Radio chatter was minimal. Just the sound of breathing on the oxygen, the whine of the engine, the whistle of wind. We were hunters, waiting. Then, bandits, 2 o'clock high, 4, no, 6. Christ, make that 8 MiGs. Everything happened fast, too fast. Major Hollister broke right, I followed. G-forces slammed me into my seat. My vision started to gray at the edges. You learn to fight that, to tense your leg muscles, force the blood to stay in your brain. The MiGs came down out of the sun. Classic move. They were good pilots, whoever they were. Chinese, Russian. We heard rumors that the Soviets were flying missions, but nobody talked about it officially. Didn't matter. They were trying to kill us. Hollister fired first. Tracers reaching out, missing. The MiG broke left, and suddenly I had a shot. The lead computing gun sight was supposed to help, but in the chaos, you're mostly going by instinct. I squeezed the trigger. 6.50 caliber machine guns roaring. I saw strikes on the MiG's fuselage, saw pieces flying off. Then he was gone, diving away, trailing smoke. "You got him! You got him!" Hollister was shouting. "Confirm the kill!" But I wasn't watching my kill. I was watching another MiG rolling in behind Martinez. Watched him fire. Watched Martinez's saber explode. Just exploded. 1 second it was there. The next it was debris and fire falling through the sky. No parachute. Never saw a chute. We broke off, headed south. You don't stick around when you're outnumbered. The MiGs didn't follow. They never crossed too far south of the Yalu. Rules of their own, I guess. Back at Kimpo, they confirmed my kill. First one. They broke out whiskey that night, celebrated. I drank with them, smiled, accepted the congratulations. But all I could see was Martinez's plane coming apart. All I could think was, I got a kill, and we lost a man. That's not a victory. That's just even. The missions kept coming. 2-3 times a week, sometimes more. You'd fly up to MiG Alley, mix it up with whoever showed up, come back and do it again the next day. Started to feel routine, if you can believe that. Combat becoming routine. I got my second kill in March, third in April. They started calling me an ace after the fifth one in June. Put my name on a board. Newspaper guys came around, wanted photos, wanted quotes about how great it was shooting down commies. I gave them what they wanted, smiled for the cameras, said the right things, but something was happening to me, to all of us. You start to disconnect. Have to. Because if you think too hard about what you're doing, really think about it, you'll freeze up there, and freezing means dying. The horror wasn't the combat itself, wasn't even watching friends die, though God knows that was bad enough. We lost Jimmy Peterson in May, good kid from Nebraska, 22 years old, saw him go down burning. Eddie Kowalski in July, engine flamed out at the worst possible moment. MiG got him before he could restart. Tom Brennan made it to August before a lucky shot from a MiG took off his tail. No, the horror was what it did to you inside, how you stopped feeling things. There was a mission in late July. We caught a formation of MiGs escorting some bombers, big furball, 12 sabers, maybe 20 MiGs, everyone turning and burning, trying to get angles. I got behind one. Young pilot. I could tell by how he flew, panicked, making mistakes. I should have taken the shot quick, clean, but I didn't. I stayed on him, matching his turns, watching him run out of options, herding him, playing with him, like a cat with a mouse. He tried everything, climbed, dove, rolled. I stayed glued to him. Finally, he leveled out, and I could see him looking back over his shoulder, could see his helmet, his face mask. I fired, long burst, saw the rounds walk up his fuselage into the cockpit. The canopy shattered. The MiG nosed over and went straight down. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not remorse. Nothing. That night, back at the base, I realized I couldn't remember his face. Couldn't remember if he'd been Chinese or Russian or Korean. Couldn't remember anything except the mechanical act of killing him. Started having dreams after that. Not nightmares exactly, just flying. Endless flying. Chasing planes that I could never quite catch, or being chased by planes I could never shake. Waking up exhausted, like I'd actually been flying all night. The flight surgeon noticed, called me in, asked how I was doing. I told him I was fine. He didn't believe me, but what was he going to do? We needed pilots. The war needed pilots. So he signed off on my fitness and sent me back up. And I kept flying, kept killing, stopped counting after 7. What was the point? They were just numbers. Just dots in the sky that stopped moving when you pulled the trigger. Major Hollister, the guy I flew wing for on my first mission, he got his 10th kill in September. Made ace twice over. Big celebration. 3 days later, he crashed on landing. Gear collapsed. plane caught fire. He made it out, but he was burned bad, real bad. They flew him to Japan. I visited him once before they sent him stateside. He was wrapped in bandages, could barely talk, but he looked at me with these eyes, these empty eyes. "Was it worth it?" he asked. 10 kills. Was it worth this? I didn't have an answer, still don't. The missions kept coming through the fall of 52 and into 53. Same routine, same MiG alley, same dance of death at 35,000 feet. You learn things. You learn that the MiG-15 can outclimb you above 30,000 feet, but you can outturn it. You learn to watch your six obsessively, because the second you relax is the second someone puts rounds through your tail. You learn to judge distance and deflection without thinking, like it's instinct. You learn to not make friends. That's the important one. Don't get close to the new guys, because most of them won't last a month. Don't learn their first names. Don't look at pictures of their girlfriends. Don't listen to their stories about home. Just fly with them, do your job, and when they don't come back, you move on. Sounds cold. It was cold. But it was survival. The guys who got attached, who mourned every loss, they cracked. Saw it happen. Saw guys freeze up in combat. Saw guys start making mistakes. Saw guys request transfers to anything that would get them out of fighters. Can't say I blamed them. We got a new wingman in November. Kid named Bobby Keller. Couldn't have been more than 21, 22. Fresh out of training, eager as hell. Wanted to be an ace, wanted to prove himself. Reminded me of myself a year earlier. I tried to keep him at arm's length, but he wouldn't let me. Kept asking questions. How do you track a target in a turn? What's the best way to break a MiG's attack? When do you know to bug out? Good questions, smart kid. I answered them, taught him what I could. Flew with him for 3 weeks. He was getting better, learning fast. Got his first kill on his 8th mission. I was proud of him, which was a mistake because you can't afford to be proud of someone who might be dead tomorrow. December 18th, 1952, routine patrol. We ran into a group of MiGs near the usual spot. Standard engagement. We had numbers, we had position, should have been easy. Bobby got separated. I saw it happen, but I was dealing with 2 MiGs on my own 6, couldn't help him. Heard him on the radio. I'm hit. I can't control it. Bail out, I was shouting. Bail out, Bobby. I'm trying. The canopy won't. Static, just static. I looked around, saw a Sabre going down trailing fire. Watched it hit the ground near the Yalu. Big fireball. Wreckage scattered across a frozen field. No chute. Never saw a chute. That night, I sat in my quarters and drank half a bottle of whiskey. Didn't help. Didn't change anything. Bobby Keller was still dead. Still 22 years old and dead in a frozen field in North Korea. And I still had to fly the next day. My breaking point came in February of 1953, almost exactly a year after my first kill. We were on our second mission of the day, already tired from the morning sortie. 4 of us, me leading this time, 3 other guys on my wing. Weather was bad, visibility poor. We should have scrubbed the mission, but command wanted patrols up, wanted to show presence. Politics, always politics. We found MiGs near the river, 6 of them. Fair fight, good odds. We engaged. I got one lined up, perfect deflection shot. Fired. Watched my rounds hit. The MiG started smoking. Pilot ejected. Good shot. Clean kill. My 9th, maybe 10th. I'd lost count. Then I saw him, the pilot, floating down in his parachute. Rules of engagement said you don't shoot parachutes. Geneva Convention, honor, all that. We didn't shoot chutes, and supposedly they didn't either. Supposedly. But I watched that pilot drifting down and something snapped. I rolled in on him. Don't know why. Wasn't thinking, just acting. Put the gun sight pipper right on the parachute and my finger was on the trigger and I was about to fire. Don't, voice on the radio. My wingman, steady, quiet. Don't do it. It's not worth it. I sat there, finger on the trigger, watching the pilot drift down. Probably couldn't see me. Probably didn't know how close he came. Finally, I broke off, climbed back up to rejoin the formation. We flew back to base in silence. After we landed, after debriefing, I went straight to my quarters, sat on my bunk staring at my hands. They were shaking, couldn't stop shaking. I'd almost done it, almost murdered a guy hanging helpless in a parachute, almost crossed a line that you can't come back from. What scared me most? Part of me still wanted to. Part of me didn't see anything wrong with it. Just another enemy. Just another target. What's the difference? That's when I knew. Knew I'd been up there too long, flown too many missions, killed too many people. Knew that whatever I used to be, whoever I used to be, was gone. Burned away at 35,000 feet somewhere over Mig Alley. I went to the flight surgeon the next day, told him I needed to be grounded, told him everything, the numbness, the emptiness, the parachute incident. He listened, made notes. Then he said, I can give you a week. That's all. We need pilots. I almost shot a guy in a parachute, I said. I almost committed a war crime. But you didn't, he said. You made the right choice. That's what matters. This time, I said. What about next time? He didn't have an answer for that. I took the week, slept 14 hours a day. Didn't help. When I went back up, I was still the same hollow thing I'd been before. Just better rested. The armistice was signed on July 27th, 1953. The war was over. Not won, not lost. Just over. We stopped flying combat missions and started packing up to go home. I ended up with 11 confirmed kills, made me an ace twice over. They gave me medals, Distinguished Flying Cross, Air Medal with Clusters, a bunch of others. Had my picture in the paper back home. Local hero returns from Korea. Hero. That word again. I got out of the Air Force in 1954. Figured I was done with flying, done with all of it. Went back to Tucson, tried to figure out what to do with the rest of my life. Civilian flying didn't work. Tried it. Got a job with a small charter company, but every time I got in a cockpit, I was back up there, back in Mig Alley. Couldn't separate the two. Quit after 3 months. Tried other things, sales, construction. Even worked at my dad's old airfield for a while, working on planes instead of flying them. Nothing stuck. Nothing felt right. Got married in 57. Linda. Good woman. Patient woman. We had a daughter in 1959. I tried to be a good husband, a good father. But Linda said the same thing everyone else did eventually. You're here, but you're not really here. She was right. Part of me never left Korea, never left that cockpit. The nightmares are different than what the other guys describe. I don't dream about planes exploding or friends dying. I dream about flying, just flying. Endless patrols over Mig Alley, searching for targets, never finding them, never landing, never stopping. Flying until the fuel runs out and I start falling, and that's when I wake up. Every single night for 25 years. I followed up on some of the guys over the years, tried to stay in touch. Most didn't want to talk about it. A few kept flying, went to Vietnam, flew combat there too. Some of them didn't make it back. The ones who did, they had that same look, that same emptiness. Bobby Keller's parents wrote me once, asked about their son, what he was like, how he died. I wrote back, told them he was brave, that he died quickly, that it didn't hurt, all lies. But what was I supposed to say? That he burned to death in a cockpit at 22 years old while I listened on the radio? They sent a Christmas card for a few years after that. Then they stopped. People ask me about Korea sometimes. Vietnam overshadowed it. Then people just forgot. The forgotten war, they call it. Maybe that's better. Maybe it's better to forget. But I can't forget. Can't forget the kills, the guys we lost, the endless missions, the cold at 35,000 feet, the smell of the oxygen mask, the sound of the engine, the sight of a MiG breaking apart when your rounds hit home. Can't forget the parachute. That's the one that haunts me most. Not the guys I did kill, the guy I almost killed. Because that was the moment I saw what I'd become, what the war had turned me into. I'm 54 years old now, recording this in 1978. The war ended 25 years ago, but I'm still fighting it. Still up there every night in my dreams. Still searching for something I lost somewhere over the Yalu River. They called it MiG Alley. We called it the meat grinder. Went in as pilots, came out as something else, something less, something broken. I got 11 kills up there, 11 confirmed anyway. Probably more that weren't seen, weren't verified. 11 men who had families, who had dreams, who believed in their cause same as I believed in mine. Does that make me an ace? A hero? Or does it just make me a killer who happened to be on the winning side? I still don't know, 25 years later, and I still don't know. What I do know is this. Every one of those 11 pilots is still up there with me, every single night. We're all still flying, still fighting, still trapped in MiG Alley, and there's no armistice for us, no end to the mission, no landing, no debriefing, no going home, just endless sky, endless combat, endless falling. They say time heals all wounds. They're wrong. Some wounds don't heal. They just become part of who you are, and you learn to live with them or you don't live at all. I'm still here, still breathing, still flying every night in my dreams. But I never made it home from Korea. Not really. Part of me is still up there, still 28 years old, finger on the trigger, trying to remember who I used to be before I learned to kill without feeling. That's the real cost of war. Not the dead. They're done suffering. It's the ones who survive, the ones who have to carry it forward, forever.